In 1937, the then CME of the Great Western, Charles Collett, decided that a lightweight version of the Granges could be beneficial for routes with a worse weight restriction code. So hence, in 1938, the year of the 126 mph steam speed record, Swindon produced the first of the 7800 class, which would be later known as the Manors due to their naming sequence. Erlestoke Manor was completed as the 12th manor in January 1939 and was allotted the number 7812. She began her working career at Bristol Bath Road MPD, working between there and Weston-super-Mare and the south coast. That same year though, unfortunately, World War II had begun, and therefore, out of the nice green livery that she was initially painted in, and into an austerity wartime black, which became the standard between 1940 and 1945. Like most engines, she spent the majority of her war years working goods trains and locals in between Bristol and the south coast. Once the conflict had ended, she would spend the rest of her Great Western days working out of Weston-super-Mare and St Philip's Marsh Road. Following this, in 1948, Britain's railway network was nationalised to become British Railways, so Erlestoke Manor found itself under new ownership. The manors had always suffered from a quite poor chimney design, which had hampered their performance, so British Railways had them rebuilt at Swindon with taller chimneys, which proved to give them a much more enhanced performance. Why Swindon didn't do this when they were built? I don't know, let's go ask the man who built them. Oh wait, never mind me, Carl. Following these modifications, the locomotive worked out at Tyseley in 1956, and then Newton Abbot a month later, before, in December of that same year, working out of Lara, before moving 3 years later to Truro. Around the same time as we moved to Truro, manors started appearing on the rather limited axle-loaded Cambrian coast. Only a handful of engines could work this line, and the manors fit the bill perfectly. Erlestoke Manor moved to, and forewarning, I do not know Welsh, Oswestry in 1960, following the dieselisation of the West Country. Erlestoke Manor was joined by many of her sisters, including Torquay Manor, Anthony Manor, Bradley Manor, Barcote Manor, Baden Manor, Compton Manor. Erlestoke Manor became somewhat of a celebrity when her and her sister locomotive, Bradley Manor, double-headed a TRPS special to Towyn from Shrewsbury in 1962. Unfortunately, however, for the locomotive, luck ran out, and after a rather short working life in the grand scheme of things, the end was set for her in November 1965. After spending some time languishing at the infamous Barry Scrapyard, the engine was saved for preservation in 1973 and was moved by her new owners to the Dean Forest Railway. However, in 1976 she was moved again to the Severn Valley Railway. Following a 3-year restoration, it moved under its own steam in 1979, just in time for the new decade. Later on, it was involved in a spectacular rail tour with Hagley Hall along the Welsh Marches in 1982, which became an iconic feature in the Great Western Experience documentary. She was withdrawn again at the end of 1985, having been part of GWR 150 and had developed a crack in the firebox. A boiler crisis in 2000 saw her return to service even more heavily delayed, and she didn't return to service until 8 years after, a gap of 23 years. She once again got back into her stride between 2008 and 2018, becoming a regular on the Severn Valley Railway, before once again being withdrawn on New Year's Day and going to Tyseley for overhaul. Erlestoke Manor's shedmate and sister engine Bradley Manor decided that she didn't want to work anymore and popped a cylinder in 2019, working between Minehead and Bishop's Lydeard on the West Somerset Railway. With no source of regular income, this staggered the overhaul of Erlestoke Manor. It also didn't help that the very next year after this, the COVID pandemic began. All of these problems meant that she wouldn't return to service until 2023, where finally she starred at the Severn Valley Railway's Spring Steam Gala. Since returning to traffic, she has spent the majority of her time at the West Somerset Railway, helping with the locomotive shortage that they have been dealing with for the past couple of years. Her sister Bradley Manor is just about to re-enter traffic, where both of them will star at the Severn Valley's Spring Steam Gala in 2025. Both of these two are invaluable assets to the heritage circuit, and it's hard to think of what a world of the Severn Valley Railway or West Somerset would be like without these two engines.